What's up, everybody? Cody Bidlow with sprintingworkouts.com and ATHLETE.X. Today I'm out at the track. I did a workout on the turf instead of on the track today, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I'm also going to talk about a competition I did this weekend, some of the factors surrounding that, my view on how it went, and we'll probably wrap it up after that. So first and foremost, what did I do today? Well, I did 5x40 yard sprints on the turf. Now, I wore soccer cleats, and I wore Wearable resistance, 100 grams per calf, I should say. So I wore them, like this on my calf, so my gastroc was like right here. And I noticed that I actually run faster with the weights than I do without, which is kind of funny. Maybe it modifies your, technique a little bit. Maybe it increases the amount of force you're putting into the ground because it's so light that you can still swing the leg pretty fast, pretty much as fast as you can normally swing the leg. But if you swing your arm while you're holding a hammer at the same speed, and then you add 100 grams to it, and you can still swing it at the same speed or a very similar speed, you're probably going to apply more force when you hit the thing you're hitting. So in this case, I apply a little bit of weight to my leg. Maybe it's making me produce more force. Maybe it's modifying my technique. I don't know what exactly is going on. But whatever the case, I notice I run a little bit faster when I wear these weights. I'm going to continue to wear them as I train because, I want to create a very specific strength stimulus or a specific, force stimulus in the hamstrings and the adductors, the hip flexors. And in my mind, what is the most specific way we can do that? Well, sprinting with an added load. Now, if you just wear a weight vest or pull a sled, that's an external load. This is an external load too, but it's at least hooked up to my body. So, it's applying load to my legs while they're swinging through the air, not just applying load to my body when my foot is on the ground. And to me, that's a more potent stimulus because, we produce force on the ground and that's what sends us across the ground. But how do we set up for that? By cycling our legs through the air. And if we can get stronger at really high velocities while cycling our legs through the air, maybe we can improve our angular velocity, which will improve how well we can sprint. Recent research, especially from Ken Clark, shows that fast sprinters have a higher angular velocity as their legs are moving through the air. So if we can do something that can improve that, that's going to help us sprint faster, or at least it should push us in the direction of sprinting faster. So I'm going to keep using these and see what happens from there. Now, why did I sprint on the turf instead of on the track? Well, similar to how wearing a very light weight can modify the sprint slightly and give your body something different, give your brain something different. Well, if we sprint on the turf, it's a more compliant surface, right? So as you put your foot down, your foot's going to squish down a little bit, and you better be producing force with a really high rate of force development if you want to get off that ground soon. So because of that constraint, it makes it harder to sprint fast. And so if you can then learn to sprint faster on the turf, as long as you're still maintaining some track sprinting so you don't lose the feel of what it's like to bounce off the track, I think we can gain something out of getting faster on the turf. The other thing is that because it's less jarring on your body, it's not as hard of a surface, it might take a little bit of that tissue stress and joint stress away to where maybe, it has less of a detrimental effect on our body as far as injuries and things like that because of the fact that the surface is more compliant. But I do think there's something to be said for, like when you run with a sled, you're not going to be able to get off the ground as quick because it's holding you back, right? And because it's holding you back, you have to produce more force, and then we hope that after doing that for a while, we'll be able to produce more force without the sled as well. I think the same thing could be applied to when you change up the surface a little bit, change up your footwear, that it's going to modify things slightly while still working the movement pattern of sprinting, but your brain has to deal with something slightly different than what it's used to, and that might be just enough to sort of, slap your nervous system in the face and be like, hey, we got to keep adapting to this. We got to keep, responding to the training. Whereas if all you ever do is run on the same surface all the time in the same footwear, at the same body weight, same conditions, everything like that, you might get a little stale after a while. And that's how I've felt lately, is I feel like my body hasn't really wanted to adapt to training. Whether I give it more load or less load, it's sort of just like, we're bored, we don't want to do anything, you know. So I think using things like the wearable resistance might give just enough stimulus to, you know, give your body something to make it want to respond to training, similar to modifying the surface we use. And here we have a fire truck coming, so this is going to be quite loud. Hopefully everybody's okay wherever they're going. I saw a terrible accident yesterday and they did not look like they were okay. So prayers for them. But anyways, I think when we use different surfaces, you know, all that stuff, it can give enough of a different stimulus that we can benefit from it. And if you're feeling stale, that's when it's time to change things up, change up the environment you're training in, change up the footwear you're using, you know, change up your body mass in the form of wearable resistance, or maybe a sled or going up a hill or something like that. And I think those are ways that we can modify things. Now, I ran at a race this weekend. Like I said, I was up at Northern Arizona University, 7,000 feet elevation up there. Pretty thin air, pretty cold too, but it was indoor, so it wasn't cold on the track. So I went up there. Now, to give you some context, on Monday of last week, I went and played softball with my fiance because they didn't have enough players, and I didn't really want to go, but I was just like, okay, I'll go. I just don't want to run a lot. Well, sure enough, I play left field, and then, you know, they hit the ball to me every at bat, so I'm running all over the place, and it was okay. You know, I was like, all right, this is fine, whatever. I'm not running all out because it's a D-League softball game. I don't need to run all out. But then, you know, someone hits a good one, and I'm backing up, and I'm like, oh, I got to turn and run. So as I turn, boom, roll my ankle. So I tweaked I think it was the fibularis, like the muscle that runs down along the calf under the lateral malleolus and then inserts sort of toward the end of the foot. I think I strained that, as well as, you know, maybe some other things in the ankle region. The ligaments felt like they were pretty much fine, no real pain there, but the fibularis was definitely pissed off. So on Monday after that, and Tuesday, the next day, I was like, not sure if I was even going to be able to run all week. So I took it really easy. I went to the track one day and did some build-ups at like 80%. And I thought, well, all right, I'll go to the meet. I'll warm up. If I can't sprint, then so be it. But if I can, I'll sprint and hope for the best. So I drove up there. It's a couple-hour drive. Got there. In the 60, I ran 7:03, and I'll put the video up. It was kind of embarrassing to me as far as like my technical execution. You know, the time is the time. I've run faster there and I've run slower there. So considering that, you know, the last time I ran there was in college. The last time I ran there, I think I ran like 7:14 or something like that. Really, you know, for me, it's not an acceptable time, you know. So I ran faster than probably the last time I was there. So that's, you know, a positive. But I just wasn't really in good shape to run physically and mentally because I wasn't really tuned in because I hadn't done any training all week because of the ankle. So maybe a mistake was babying the ankle too much, but you know, when something hurts, you don't know what to do, so you might as well err on the side of caution. At least that was my thought process. So the time is whatever. I know I can run faster, so whatever. But what frustrated me was that my technical execution in the 60 was terrible. Sluggish out of the blocks. I stumbled like no other. And, you know, once you stumble, you're kind of in a 60, you know, how do you come back from that? So I think I probably could have run a little faster, probably could have broke 7, but who knows? It is what it is, right? So anyways, that was a little disappointing. I think I came into the meet ranked 12th and ended up in 11th place, or maybe I came in ranked 12th and ended up 12th. I don't know, something like that. But I didn't make it into the final. I missed out by 0.07 of a second. So then I was like, well, I'm signed up for the 150, so I might as well run the 150. Now the turns on this track, it's a 300-meter flat track, so the turns are like crazy tight, right? So I was a little sketched out about my ankle. But anyways, I decided I'll run it. So I got in. I was ranked 12th in the 150. I ended up 6th overall in the meet, so I ranked better than what I came in at. So I was happy about that. I ran 16:49, which, considering how tight the turn was, I felt like I was like this the whole way around the turn. So all things considered, I was happy about that. So ended the meet on a good note. You know, I was healthy afterwards. I didn't get hurt. My ankle didn't blow up, and my ankle feels better now. So overall, I can't really complain. I got to be grateful that I was even able to run, grateful that, there's competitions we can go to, and there's plenty of people out there who can't even get up off the couch. So while it's easy to get frustrated about things like, when I don't execute technically and I know I can run faster, yeah, it's frustrating because it's like, what are you doing, dude? If you can't execute your technique that you practice almost, multiple times a week, every damn week of the year, what the hell are you doing, But at the same time, while that's frustrating and, you got to look at that and be like, why are you not executing? On the same token, you also have to be grateful for what you have and grateful for the experience. It's fun to go to track meets. It's fun to run. And if you get too frustrated and you get too bent out of shape because of what the clock says or because of how you executed, then it becomes not fun. And if it's not fun, then what are you doing? You only have one life as far as we know, so why would you do something that you don't enjoy? So it was a good lesson in a few things. One, I think, if you're trying to compete in a sport, don't do other things that are going to get you hurt. So don't go play softball like I did. Maybe in the off season, that's fine, but when you have a meet on Friday, don't go play softball, okay? First lesson. Second lesson, don't go into a meet with no training that week. You're going to be flat, your coordination's probably going to be bad, and it's going to lead to poor technical execution. 3, have fun, be lighthearted, don't be too hard on yourself. It's not like I'm competing for a Team USA spot right here. I'm just trying to PR. I'm trying to run, I want to run like 10.5 or something someday. I hope that I can do that. If I do, I'll be happy, right? But if I don't, I'll still be happy. And either way, whatever happens, you got to be grateful for what you are able to do, because there's plenty of people out there who can't do what you can do. You may be faster than me, I may be faster than you, but we're both faster than someone else. And there's someone out there who can't run, who wishes they could run. So the fact that you can compete, you can go lift, you can go do a workout, you got to be grateful for that and not be spoiled and, just expect that everything's going to come easy and that when it doesn't work out your way, you could throw a tantrum or you can, be all bummed out and bent out of shape about it. Yeah, you can be real with yourself and be like, dude, what the hell was that? What are you doing? Why aren't you executing? You can have a real discussion with yourself and be straight up with yourself about like, hey, this is what you work on. You got to be able to execute. But at the same time, you got to have some fun and not take it so seriously that it then ruins the fun aspect and then you lose your gratitude and you aren't thankful for what you have, because there's plenty of people out there who would be ecstatic to run 7:03 like I did the other day, even though for me, I feel like I need to be better than that. And there's some people out there who would be happy to run 8 seconds in the 60. There's some people who would be happy to run a minute in the 60, So keep it in perspective. Keep training hard. Be dedicated to what you do. Try to hone your craft, whether it's sprinting or something else. But within that, be thankful for the fact that you can even do it, because someday we're not going to be able to. Someday we're going to be old if we're lucky to get old. Someday we're going to move on to the next realm, whatever that is, and it'll be over. So in the meantime, while we're here, we need to do our best to appreciate what we have, because at the end of the day, if you can appreciate what you have, then whatever does come your way, positive or negative, you'll make the best out of it. But if every time you have a little issue or some trials and tribulations happen and you just fall apart mentally because of it, well, I don't think that's the way to live, So whether you guys are competing or not, whether you're happy with your times or not, happy with how your training's going or not, try to be grateful for what you have, grateful for what you're able to do, grateful for the gifts that you have in life, the skills that you have. And, I think if we approach things from that perspective, we'll be more likely to improve, because we're not going to be all stressed out and overly serious about things. Yeah, when it comes time to get on the line, you better be serious and ready to go. But you have to have a lightness about you and not just all the time. Because when you're like all the time, it's like walking around with a weight vest on your back, and you're probably going to run slower because of it. So that's my message for the day. Don't need to drone on here any longer. We're about to hit 15 minutes, so I'll cut it here. But just to recap, consider using different surfaces in your training, like running on turf. Consider using different footwear, like wearing cleats on the turf and then spikes on the track. consider wearable resistance if you can afford it. If you can't, you can find other ways to, maybe you wear heavier shoes one day to just feel it out, try something different. Not that you should be running around in work boots, but, that's where soccer cleats can come in handy. They're a little bit heavier than your sprint spikes, so maybe that can give you the same stimulus as wearing wearable resistance, But think about ways to still sprint, still perform the workouts you want to perform, but modify them slightly to give your brain something slightly different to deal with. And hopefully that can help us to continue to improve in the long run without getting stale. And last but not least, be grateful for what you have. Try to enjoy your training, enjoy your competition, and realize that you're blessed. You have skills and gifts that other people don't have, and you should be appreciative of that, just like I need to be appreciative of that. So that's all for now, guys. I'll catch you next time. This is Cody Bidlow with SprintingWorkouts.com and ATHLETE.X, signing off.